this being a spotlight type light fixture with a bicolor LED and a Bowens mount with a moderate output. That's it. But you want to know why. Alright, I've got my notes and a disclaimer. I've got the Aperture Amaran in front of me, but I'm not specifically recommending to go out and get this light. I'm not sponsored by Aperture. This is just a recommendation on the type of light to get. So you get whatever is practical and reasonable for you. Alright, so why? And this comes with a bit of asterisk as well because, this is all based on my experience and how I like to do things. If that resonates with you, then perfect. I find these lights a bit easier to work with and a bit easier to control. The source of light being just that one big LED doesn't really cast the little shadows that come with a LED panel, and also doesn't give you a strange light output like a tube light, for example. So controlling this is just a bit more predictable, and I find also it's a bit easier to hide because this thing, if you don't have the modifier on it and you're just looking to like bounce it off a wall or something, hide it behind a talent, super easy. Especially if you got a little stand for it, you can hide this pretty much anywhere. And this specific model only comes with a one power cable and a power unit. And so it's just very compact and very easy to kind of tuck in a corner without having too much trouble to hide the light if it's somewhat getting in the shot. The Bowens mount, obviously this is a standard universal mount, so finding modifiers or basically any options to mod this light is going to be really easy and even budget friendly, just because you can almost go with any brand that is specifically designing for stuff to fit on this Bowens mount. And this light is actually quick to set up. It's not the type of light where it's like a tear down, you got to build it up, with a skeleton arms and hooks. So it just makes things more practical, especially when you're just getting into this stuff. You want to kind of save your energy, save your time for the more important stuff like, am I happy with the way the light looks? Just kind of perfecting the shot. So why the bicolor functionality? Why this emphasis on this feature? I want to recommend you a light where it's kind of flexible as a do-it-all light, especially when it comes to lighting your subject. I think your first light like this should be focused more on lighting a subject, lighting a person, lighting skin tones, and then perhaps later down the line, you can expand your lighting kit and get any other type of light that is focused more on just being a practical or lighting the set. So I think a light like this, where it gives you that flexibility to dial in your color temperature and especially match it with the color temperature of the camera and create organic and natural looking light, and also be a motivating light to natural and organic light like the sun, like a moon, like a fire. I think that's a big plus. And that's why I'm recommending a bicolor light. Some of these lights also offer you the ability to power them via a battery, a V-mount, or some type of big battery. And that's a big plus, Again, once you start using these lights, they're going to be an essential part of your kit, and you're going to bring this thing with you everywhere you go. And sometimes you're going to find yourself not having accessibility to bring this guy with you, and you're going to wish for some type of solution. And honestly, in cases like that, to have a battery and power these things, it's like the best thing you could have, basically. What about getting an RGB light instead of this light? Wouldn't it do what this light can do and even more? Yes and no. I think the biggest thing is this light will teach you how to read or measure light and match that with your camera. So now you're learning a new language, which is the Kelvin units. You're going to start measuring things in Kelvin and saying things and set things in Kelvin. You know what you're talking about. Rather than giving a color code or whatever, however these RGB lights work, right? Like they don't work by Kelvin units. So that's the biggest thing, really. And another one is these are more color accurate, like I mentioned. So especially when it comes to skin tones, this is gonna definitely outperform any RGB light, at least for the price. And emphasizing that if this is gonna be your first light, then you want that light to be focused on your subject. You want that light to be focused on the people in your film or whatever you're doing. And then again, eventually you can upgrade your kit and get that RGB light because they're great and they work amazing, but I find those are perfect for like lighting a prop or lighting a set, not necessarily working with skin tones. And RGB lights are a bit more expensive for less output, less color accuracy. This is definitely the winning light. I would just stick to a bicolor and upgrade my kit from there. That's pretty much it for the why. And to get into the how, really, I don't want to overdo it here because this is your journey. This is your experience. Because ultimately, if this is going to be your first light, then you want to have your own kind of learning path. You want to grow with it and you want that to be your story. So I don't want to overdo it. But what I will say is with lights like these, there is a bit of light etiquette. Obviously, let your talent know, hey, bright light coming ahead. Are you okay with that? Any migraine issues? Just being nice. And being aware that your light is a powerful tool and it can actually convey some emotions in your shot. How can I set up this light to get the emotion that I want? Keep things simple. Don't overdo it with your light. And find a practical. That just means another source of light that is in the background, kind of native to the scene, and use that to motivate the light. If you have a lamp, or if you've got the sun, or if you've got the moon, use that and motivate your scene with your light. It's just gonna give you a more natural, organic look. We're told to focus on audio as well as the visuals because that makes 50% of your film. I will argue that it makes a 33%. The other third is lighting. If audio immersion is through emotion, light immersion is through making the scene feel real, making you feel present. But that's pretty much it. And honestly, I feel like I overdid it. So I'm done. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I really appreciate you. Please leave me a like and take care.